Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to The Upside. Our show is about to begin. To maximize your experience today, we recommend putting your Zoom screen on speaker view. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our two wonderful co-hosts, Beth Goldsmith, Chair-elect of the Associated Jewish Federation of Baltimore, and Dr. Scott Rifkin, publisher of JMOR. Beth and Scott, take it away.
Well, welcome to The Upside. This is our virtual show brought to you by the Associated Jewish Federation of Baltimore and JMOR Magazine. The intention is to keep our community informed during this time of uncertainty. And JMOR is particularly proud to be working with Associated. As many of you know, JMOR reaches about 14,000 homes, or we print up about 14,000 editions each month. And we thank you all for your support. So, Beth.
Thanks, Scott. Yes, we're coming to you twice a week with episodes you can view live or later on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. So please tell your friends if you enjoy something to check in with us, even if they missed our live show. Each episode features a new expert to enlighten us about the questions we're hoping are the ones you've been asking during the crisis. Our community needs to stay together at this time of uncertainty, and by highlighting what is happening locally, we hope this show helps, as our tagline says, stay connected and informed. Today's show is all about the restaurant industry. Our local restaurants, as you can well imagine, have had to adjust their businesses dramatically in the past few weeks, showing enormous creativity and flexibility. And they need our support to stay afloat now and certainly in the long term. So let's take a deeper dive with three local restaurateurs. Scott, introductions, please.
Sure. I've obviously, if anybody knows me personally or has seen me, I've eaten many restaurant meals, wonderful meals, and I've showed that physically, I'm afraid. But I do love a wonderful meal, and it's part of our human experience of being in a room together, being across a table from people, and enjoying a wonderful meal and a wonderful conversation. Our restaurants have had a huge impact from COVID, and we are thrilled today to have three of the local restaurateurs to be on the air with us. By the way, you can see this show on Zoom. You can see this show on Facebook now, and you can see it at any time you want to pull it up on Facebook. We've been blessed to have about 1,000 viewers for each show, which is really remarkable. The three restaurateurs are Ben Lefenfeld of La Cuchara, Charles Levine of Citron, and Lara Franks, who is co-owner with her husband Larry of 4 kosher restaurants: Accents Grill, Serengeti Steakhouse, Cocacino's Pizza, and Sapori Italian. I think I've eaten at every one of these restaurants. So thank you all for being here.
You're welcome.
So let's start with the first question. And I think we'll go around the group if we can. Let's start with the first question. Tell us about what's going on in your restaurant today. You know, where are you in your ability to serve, carry out, and to serve? You know, tell me what's going on with your restaurant and your staff today, please. Let's start with Ben Lefenfeld, if you would.
First off, thank you for having me. Really happy to be on the show. Since the beginning of the coronavirus epidemic, we've started doing a grocery store out of La Cuchara. So basically, on days Tuesday through Saturday, you can go online to www.lacucharamarket.com. You can go through and peruse our offerings and then order it for pickup the next day. This is a completely different business model than what we were doing with La Cuchara previously. But when this all started, we figured that this was the need that the community had right now. So we just went full force with it. So we're offering everything from fresh seafood, foraged ramps from West Virginia, asparagus from the East Coast, to seeds and plants and charcoal and just whatever we can get our hands on to try to just provide a resource to the community where they don't need to go into a store to get things.
And Ben, I would assume, and I've heard this, but maybe you can confirm it, that as a restaurant, you have access to kind of ingredients. You start talking about ramps and seafood. You probably have access to ingredients and quality of food that we typically don't see in a grocery store.
Well, I mean, the entire supply chain of the grocery stores has been affected greatly with this epidemic, whereas a lot of the purveyors for restaurants, they have a ton of food and they have been looking for resources to move that product. That coupled with, instead of buying retail items that are packaged for retail, we're getting in whole fish and breaking it down ourselves, using the cryovac machine in-house to cryovac it, so it's just the freshest that it can be.
So for anybody who's a home cook and says to themselves all the time, you know, if I had those same ingredients, I could cook the same food. This is their opportunity to find that that's not true.
Exactly. And we suggest to go on the marketplace, to bring home the food, to cook it, and then to tag us on Instagram or Facebook. We have a bunch of people that are doing that and just really enjoying what we're seeing from guests.
Thank you, Ben. And we're going to come back to you in a minute. Charles, talk about your operation and what's going on with you all.
Well, we are doing carryout as well. We didn't start carryout until about a month ago. We're doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. I guess the way, and it's a whole obviously different business model for us. We're lucky that we have a very intuitive point of sale machine and systems that are here that made it very easy for us to go online, develop these things. We had a very successful Mother's Day. You know, I guess my approach to where things are is the following. It's a little bit like off-premise catering. As an off-premise caterer, every day of my life for most of my career, reacting, planning, figuring out who is this client, what's the source, what are we doing? Those skills have been very helpful with our employees and myself in moving forward in this process, because for us, the first thing was reacting to what was going on, and then the awareness and control of the whole being, because, you know, we've got a monster restaurant, we've got a ton of employees, we've got families, we've got careers, we have lives. This is very serious, obviously. And then we've got compliance to go on, understanding PPPs, everything. And then it's planning. And after planning, now we can breathe a little bit. Now we're looking at marketing, implementation for when we can open. So where we are is we're in different stages. We didn't think that it made sense for us to go into the market like Ben's doing. And he's doing a phenomenal job, obviously. He's doing a great job of that. For us, we're known for catering. We're known for relationships. Obviously, I'm early in the restaurant business. But not in the food business. So our approach now is we get carry out. We're going to start with some family meals, and we're working on the future and how. And we're lucky because of what's going to happen eventually if we ever can get open from the government for the outside. So I've approached it like I've spent my entire life thinking about catering, and that has been the biggest benefit. So that's where we are today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, online, Citron, Baltimore.
Do you have nobody has a real sense. So your planning, is it based around a certain point at which you'll get to open the doors again to the general public, or are you looking at this as a new model going forward until somebody changes the environment on you?
Great question. The planning, look, when you look financially at certain things, you know, we looked at some business models of, okay, June, July, August. Now, I'm not even, you know, we know it's really July probably at some point, and, you know, maybe it's a 25% capacity for a big property like that. For us, that's not great, but it's not bad because we can really spread out. But we're looking at, you know, look, we're buying some PPE. We figured out the color of the gloves. We're thinking about masks. We've got, with our intuitive point of sale machines, we're going to have no contact for paying a bill. You're going to get a bill and you can just take your phone and it will read the barcode and you'll electronically get a receipt. So we're working on the processes. You're right. I mean, it's a little hard to plan financially in other ways, but we now are caught up to a certain point. So now we can plan for the future, not knowing exactly when it's going to be, but we can look at what it may be. And this, again, is just part of, I guess, just of where I've been as a, in my entire career, planning.
Yeah. And that's sort of the core of being as a small business person. So I do understand that. Let's go to our third guest, Lara Franks. Lara, oh, there you are. I see you on my screen now. Wonderful. Tell us where you are. You've got a few nuances to your restaurants, because your restaurants are kosher and serve a general population. I've eaten in 3 of your 4 restaurants. And tell us how things are going in your restaurants, what services you're providing, and what the impact is of the somewhat different population that you serve.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. So we have 4 restaurants, and we realized as this evolved that it was going to be enormously challenging to try and keep 4 restaurants with 4 different themes going and remain focused and intact and operationally viable. So we shut down Serengeti and Sapori, which really are the restaurants where the dining in experience was of way more importance. They were the 2 projects where carry-out was a much smaller part of the business, whereas Accents Grill and Cocacino's with the pizza, we were already doing a sizable trade in carry-out business. So we were able to regroup. We had to furlough and let some employees go, but we were able to keep key employees in positions in 2 out of the 4 restaurants, which enabled us to continue offering services, kosher services to the community. But of course, just like we're hearing from the other guests, we of course had to completely redefine what our business model was, and still are redefining on a daily basis. The first thing we had to figure out was, what is the new business model, and what underutilized business practices do we have at our disposal? And one of those was an online ordering platform that we had discussed. It was always our intention to roll that out, but there was never a sense of urgency to do so. And this opportunity arose from COVID-19 to say no more excuses, no holds barred. We had to get it done, and we did within a couple of weeks. And it's pushed us to new technologies, which we feel are going to be incredibly powerful going forward in this new model. We also sat back as a management team and said, do we have any under-leveraged assets that we can use? And took a look at our Class B 7-day packaged liquor license and said, that perhaps can be something that could make up for lost revenue from our in-dining part of our business. So we popped up a small liquor store in the front of Accents, and that is definitely helping to drive in additional revenue, which has been critical. And then, as Charles was saying, we're exploring what is the new reality going to look like. COVID-19 is here to stay for the immediate future anyway, and we all have to realign our businesses so that we are protecting our employees, protecting our customers, still being able to be there for our customers, to take care of their needs for dining, because we're a kosher business. They're going to be Sheva Brachas and brisses and bar mitzvahs and, please God, many beautiful Jewish lifestyle events still taking place, even though in smaller family units. And we have to reorganize how we're going to take care of our clients and make sure they're still able to enjoy those family events on some level. And then there's the sad part, which is the catastrophic part of one person being isolated sitting shiva and not being able to have family and friends around them to provide comfort. And so we've had to change the way we handle shiva and make sure that one person is still front and center and important, and we're still able to take care of that one person and make sure that they have that comfort and have the ability to have meals brought in and know that people care about them and thinking of them. So entirely different way of doing business, but definitely opening up exciting possibilities in terms of the new way and embracing technologies which I think ultimately might gain us all a higher level of efficiency. So while it has been definitely catastrophic, we're looking at this as a total opportunity for a makeover and a deep dive. And that in some ways is quite powerful.
Yeah,
Thanks.
everybody.
Scott, if I can jump in, I'd like to just go a little deeper into we're talking about the toll not only on customers, as well as your staffs. If each of you could maybe talk a little bit about furloughs, about where they are now, what you see when openings begin, which will probably be on quite a different scale from what you're used to. So I'm sure your plans have involved that sort of. Ben, do you want to start again?
Sure. So it took us a little bit of time to figure out just the best way to handle our staff. We had some staff that wanted to be let go so they could go after unemployment. We had other staff that wanted to do whatever they can to work. What we eventually settled with is to run the marketplace. We have our salaried employees here, which is just a few, which we've paid their salaries since day one. We've brought on a couple of key people that are in positions where they have limited exposure to the virus. So basically people that are living together, they've been not going out, they're getting all their groceries from La Cuchara. So I mean, it's a staff of 9 that's working in there right now. As far as the rest of our staff, when we started the marketplace, we were collecting tips for the staff. So 10% of sales would go as an automatic tip at checkout. That tip can be taken off if people choose, but that has helped us bridge that gap between when we closed the restaurant and when we did eventually get approved for the PPP loan, to be able to pay staff a living wage at that point in time, which was really, really nice to be able to do for them. But at this point, out of our 50 staff, we have about 9 of us that are working here right now. We have one other staff member that's off site that's kind of doing all of our tech support and things like that. But it's a reality that we are facing on a daily basis as far as what happens after another 6 weeks. And are we going to be able to fold that other staff back into either this project or something new, and just really focusing on how that gets resolved.
Does the PPP program work for restaurants with wait staff that are so dependent on tips?
I think the PPP program works. I think that it creates a problem when, in addition to the PPP program, you have the other unemployment benefits that are kind of fizzling around out there. So, I mean, we had some servers that didn't want to come back to work because they could make an extra $75 on unemployment, which is a really tough call because you don't want to tell people to take less money, but in the long term of things, it might be better for them to be on the PPP. I don't really know, and I mean, I'm not a attorney. I mean, I'm not a specialist in this, so I just basically tried to provide whatever information we could and encourage them to go out and just find more information on their own. There's lots of great resources out there for it.
Good. Charles, Beth asked the question about your staff and how you're handling staff.
Sure. Well, the first 2 weeks when things happened, we continued to pay everybody like they were on vacation. That's how we took care of the beginning. Then, as we were assessing what was going on and reacting, we made sure that we stayed in touch with every employee. The people that, you know, all the employees that were filing for unemployment, our controller in the office, and it's been a very limited staff here. I've got one of our private event specialists is working remote, and actually in the office, it is just me and our controller, and we've got controlled settings and where we've been in our lives, and we don't get, you know, so we're comfortable with COVID. But what we've done is made sure that every employee got their last paycheck, have everything. It's true what Ben said, you know, we understand. I mean, look, the PPP, I think, is a Band-Aid. It's a nice thing. It's amazing that in 2 months, less than 2 months, the country has done so much and reacting, I think that's marvelous. There's so much more that needs to be done in support for the industry, like business interruption insurance and other things. However, we are staying, yesterday I had a few conversations with some employees that are on unemployment, just talking to them about what we're doing here, how we've been cleaning the place, how we've been doing preventive maintenance, how we're thinking about the future, how we've been talking, the procedures that we're going to go through. So we're staying in touch with the people that aren't here as much as we can. I do know that the labor pool down the road will be pretty, large in talent that's out there. I also know this. I have been reading articles, talking to some other people in the industry, and this life-changing moment has made many chef owners, talented people in other areas realize that there's more in life. And yes, their careers are important, but their family and existence is. So that 12-hour day of a chef and that 6-day a week is not going to happen. Not that it was, but it's not going to happen in the future. So yes, HR is extremely important. Look, your number one asset is your staff, without a doubt. And as Ben was alluding to, that $600 extra on unemployment does present an issue because for some people, they're making more. On the other end, look, an employer is going to reach out and to try to reemploy the people that are not employed. And hopefully they'll do the right thing by coming back to work.
Very good. Laura, how's your staff doing?
We approached it from the point of view of we need to scale back. Let's see how we can do this in a way that is most fair, going employee by employee. So we knew that closing Serengeti and Sapporo meant that obviously, and going to a takeout model, obviously the first people that were going to lose their jobs were hostesses and the waitresses, busboys, and actually dishwashers too, because now there's minimal dishes to wash, not running seat-in restaurants. But the way we looked at it was, first and foremost, we had a lot of young people working for us in those positions who live at home with their parents, many of whom are students in high school and college. So we felt that the first level that we would furlough would be those young people because they were living at home and there was an infrastructure that was taking care of them. Then the next tier we looked at was, if we need to still dig down deeper and let more people go, whom on our payroll has a spouse with job security and benefits? We analyzed that, and a handful of those employees agreed to be furloughed, knowing they had a safety net in place because they had spouses who were going to maintain their job and benefits. The rest of the employees we've tried to keep on board either full-time or part-time. And so far we have 29 people out of around 70 still on the payroll. So between our Passover project and now our carry-out mode, obviously people have changed positions in terms of the nature of their responsibilities. Many of them are now driving at night and on a base hourly rate plus tips. Some of them are working in the new liquor store. They're all not necessarily doing the same roles, but they're comfortable and really, really excited that they are still part of the company and they still have jobs to come to. We've been in touch with everybody. We know everybody wants to come back, and we are just really anxious for that moment where we're allowed to start opening up, creating more of a dine-in experience and then going to that level. With regards to the PPP funding, I personally am one where I'm like, the jury's still a little out on the usage of these funds. I haven't tapped them yet because I'm a little nervous. I'm not sure that I can use 75% on payroll and 25% on occupancy costs. Those ratios look a little different from me right now. And I'm concerned of not being in compliance. And do I really want to roll them into a loan and carry more debt? And what does that look like? So we're kind of still fleshing that out with in terms of our management pool and with our accountants to see whether or not we want to incorporate that funding into the way we're doing business right now.
Very
Scott
good.
and Beth, we have an audience question here, and we encourage you to email your questions in. So this goes to Ben at La Cuchara from Dara here on Facebook. Ben, do you have any yeast for sale? She's a baker.
Yes, we do have yeast and flour both available on the website. The yeast is 0.25 ounce containers that we're selling.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, before we go any further, I have got to know what that view behind Charles is. Charles, there's this wonderful view. It looks like a pool, a reflecting pool of some sort.
No, we're in the club room, which is one of our 6 private dining rooms. And this is just a beautiful piece of art. And yeah, it's a water view of the Hamptons. Martha Max is a friend and a fabulous artist. And this was something that Goya Girl Press worked with us on the artwork in the restaurant.
Wonderful, wonderful. I hated to break in with that, but it was driving me crazy. I wanted to know what it was. It was very nice. Let's take a minute. And the business, obviously, as small business people, you all have taken your intellectual property, which is the combined knowledge of your staff, and your other assets like your kitchens and your access to great food that can be turned into various things, and rethought your business plan. For a minute, let's lighten things up for a minute. Tell us about the dish that you'd like to send or have picked up by somebody listening to this show. Give us 1 or 2 dishes to get people salivating. Ben's going first every time, so let's go to Lara this time first.
What's the dish I most want people to pick up?
If you could recommend 1 dish for people to order from you today, what would it be?
I would say that it's whatever Serengeti steak chef is running on special.
I've eaten your steaks and they're delicious, so that's wonderful. Steak from Serengeti. That makes sense to me. Charles.
Okay. I would tell you that we have the most fabulous sushi in the world, and Chef Allen is terrific. And I love it because it makes pressure in the American kitchen a lot easier when we're selling poke bowls and sushi. And he's amazing, along with my wife's chocolate macadamia that she loves. And one more thing, we're working on and just perfecting. And then the next 2 weeks, we're going to be having what Susan Levine always wanted me to carry, fried chicken dinner. So it's going to happen Thursday, Friday, Saturdays eventually. So that's what do I want them to get? Whatever they want. That's all we want people to do. It's the right experience.
Wonderful. Ben, what can you get people salivating about?
First off, I'll second Robert on his sushi. The sushi coming out of Citron is awesome.
Thank you.
As far as what's going on right now, one thing that we've been doing for several weeks, we've gotten great feedback on actually 2 items, the meatloaf and the falafel that we've been doing. The falafel is just something that I love and just travels well and can be heated up just gently. But I mean, just going back to the point that was made earlier, I mean, really what we're trying to provide is having some of those comfort foods available for when people don't have time to cook, but also just being able for people to pick up a nice piece of rockfish, some ramps, some preserved morel mushrooms, and go home and really take that family time, go fire up the grill, and just relax and cook delicious food.
Wonderful. Scott and Beth, we have one last question here from Karen on Facebook. This is a good one. Are the restaurants looking more at outdoor seating for the summer? So
Ben, you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, we've examined outdoor seating. We kind of changed how La Cuchara does outdoor seating. We started with normal patio seating, and then last summer we built basically large bar style standing tables. That was in an effort to extend our happy hour a little bit, which has been very popular. So we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot with that because we're stuck with a bunch of tables that weigh about 900 pounds each, and we can't really move them around to make people space out. So we're trying to figure out how that's going to fit in as far as what we can do, and maybe reserving the patio as kind of a private area, or just trying to figure that out. I'm not sure yet.
Very good. Charles?
Well, that's where we're lucky. We overlook the 40-acre lake, and in between the restaurant and the event building, the Cove, that's over 3,000 square feet. The deck is about 15 feet wide, and it goes 250 feet. We have tremendous amount of space that we can spread out. That's not going to be an issue. We also have 2 enclosed terraces that are year-round. No, our approach is going to be now, in our thoughts, that people will more enter through our open gates outside versus even going in the building when the weather's good. And we're going to have 2 entrances and really control in that manner. You know, look, I would assume that Ben, everybody will feel the same way, and tell people, even though you just want to pop in a restaurant, it's not going to be the environment just to pop in. So it's one thing to, you know, place a carryout order and do it online, because we do last minute and it just happens electronically. In the restaurant setting, we're going to want people to make reservations so we can spread them out, so we can take care of them however they want. People are going to be uncomfortable or comfortable. You know, it's the unknown. So our game has to be stronger. And yes, we have the outside space, but that's just the beginning of it. It's how you deal with what's going to be going on that's going to really matter the most.
Very good. Lara, you already have some outdoor, indoor kind of space.
Yeah, our physical layout is a little different because we have the atrium, which is technically indoors, but very open and not so much enclosed. We are going to appeal to our landlords for permission to put some sidewalk tables out. And we have already started exploring ideas for what indoor dining may look like. And I agree with Charles, people are going to have to be a little bit more motivated and encouraged and disciplined about making reservations, because we may have to have smaller numbers of guests at any given time and bring people on more shifts into the indoor dining spaces. And I guess we're all going to see how that works out. But I think health and safety and sanitation is going to be first and foremost on everybody's lists. The more traffic we see coming into our stores in a variety of different capacities.
And I suspect, and any of the 3 of you guys might have a comment on this, that the public is going to understand that with volumes down in the restaurants, they're going to have to be lower. You're going to space people out and not use the space as, you know, as efficiently. Prices have to go up a little bit, but I think folks are hungry. Hungry is a great term for this call, but hungry for the social interaction of restaurants when that opens back up. Do you guys think that the pricing will go up a little bit? And it sounds like it should, but love to hear your thoughts.
We haven't specifically discussed, does the pricing need to go up? If we're operating, I think, with different business models, the appropriate amounts of staffing and inventory ought to be assigned to a new model. And that, I don't think, necessarily guarantees a price increase, but I will tell you that we're already seeing a lack of ease in the supply chain. I know Ben mentioned that it sounded like Ben wasn't necessarily feeling that, but we've been feeling the pinch in some areas, and that, if anything, may cause price increases, especially with the rumors about potential meat and poultry shortages. So I think that's pretty much a wait and see game. Right now, you know, all bets are off as to us being able to lock down what that looks like.
Very good. Any other thoughts on that from you guys?
Sure, I can say something. Am I on? Okay.
Yep, you're on.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, for carryout, our prices are 20 to 25% less than we do in the restaurant because it's warranted to be that way. We are seeing now the prices of meat. Steaks have gone up 30% in the last few weeks, which is a lot. We're not changing anything at this point in time. We haven't, again, just like she just said, we haven't thought about that part. We're doing everything else to get ready. You know, we're gonna have to even think about what kind of menu we can hand out. You know, it's a disposable one if they say that it is, and we sell a lot of items, so it's like lots of paper. It's crazy. Look, we want to give the right experience to people. We've been on the end of, I think people are going to want value. It doesn't necessarily dictate to the price, but they're going to want value for this experience. They're going to have to trust where they're going to go. This is a whole different animal. And it's true, Ben, the three of us have landlords, we have significant revenue that we need to produce to do this. Our other costs are not going down. I don't know what's going to happen in that area at all at this point in time, other than I just think that it's most important that we take care of people. What I will tell you one thing, because I don't know if we're going to have a closeout comment. The community's been terrific. The employees have been terrific. I want you to know that, moving forward, I see 2021 as a monster year. I see that as a year where all these parties, all these weddings, events are all going to next year. It's getting to next year that we care about. Next year is going to be incredible. We don't want to have a PPE price on the menu. I don't know, but those things are expensive. Figuring out how we're going to clean the tables in front of people in an elegant way, and everything that we're going to have to do. So that's the last thing we want to do. The first thing we want is safety, comfort, and we want to just create why we even exist. And we want to have fun again. When we want civility, we want people to be civil to each other moving forward. And we want just to create this environment of what a restaurant hospitality is all about. That's what we want.
Very good. Very good. Beth, you had a question I cut off a little while ago. I apologize. No?
I don't think I had a particular question. I actually thought a few minutes ago when Jonathan said it was the last question from the audience that we were ending the show. But if we're not, I would, there's a restaurant here. I'm not in Baltimore. I unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I'm sheltering in another state and have been here for over 2 months. And we just opened restaurants yesterday. I have not gone. I'm not brave enough to do that yet. And the most impressive thing to me was the restaurants on their sites showing some new technology. So there are some, I don't even know what you'd call them, but there are devices that are going to be sending purifiers into the air and things like that. So I was just really curious if that's on the radar, like Charles, you spoke about elegant ways of cleaning the table. And I'm wondering what other things will we see, might we see upon returning to a restaurant to ease our discomfort.
If I could just go back to the last question, Laura, I agree with you completely. We've definitely felt the pinch now as far as the supply chain and availability and prices starting to go up. I was kind of referring to more at the beginning of the epidemic. But when we did start the marketplace, we did decide on a much lower markup. So we're talking about, we're doing a 15 to 20% markup on the items that we're selling now. That is because it is a marketplace and because a lot of those items are not value added. It is raw food. As far as our prepared foods go, I mean, it's all comfort food and it's still that same lower markup, which I think is important at this point. When we do reopen, I don't think we will be raising prices a lot, but what I see a lot of restaurants doing is what you would typically see during New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day, where to make a reservation, you need to put a deposit down to reserve that table for the evening, because the days of walk-ins, I think, are behind us at this point, and the days of no-shows are behind us. People are not going, especially restaurateurs, are not going to deal with people that are not showing up for reservations if they are basically running a restaurant with 50% capacity. So I think you'll see a $50 deposit required at most restaurants for just a table of 2 on Saturday night.
Very interesting.
Agreed.
Any other comments from any of the three of you? And then I want to give you each a chance to give out the contact information for your restaurants. Any other comments anybody's got in responses to Beth's question a minute ago on
Sure.
what might be different in the way you interact?
Yeah, my only comment on the way people interact is that it's been heartwarming to see during this time how people have rallied together and shown care and love and concern and consideration for each other. And I know for me, I cannot speak for everybody, restaurant owners are not always the beneficiaries of those kinds of feelings. And so going forward, we are going to really be relying on people's continued goodwill as they practice these policies of care and consideration and patience, knowing that it's not going to be automatically, their needs are not going to be automatically and guaranteed to be fulfilled just in terms of access to reservations and speed of delivery, because now everything's carry out. And, you know, I would just appeal to people to understand that the world will be a-changing, and it's going to take a change of mindset and a change of what is asked for us to deliver in terms of our character. And that applies both ways. It applies to me and my team, and the way we now show our care and show our concern for our consumers and show and express to them how we want to be there for them. But we would also be hoping that the goodwill is coming in both directions. You know, that's what we hope and pray for.
Well, I think that's a great little comment to end this on. Lara, can you give your contact information, and then we're going to ask Charles and Ben to do the same?
Sure. So Accents can be reached at accentsgrill.com, and Cocachinos can be reached at Cocachinos, COCOACCINOS.com. And all those web pages have direct numbers and contact us and online ordering capacities. So we're very easy to reach, and we're monitoring incoming calls, emails, and feed from early in the morning till well after 8 in the evening.
Very good. Charles?
First of all, I want to thank you all, and hello, Beth. I miss seeing you, Beth, at the bar, but hopefully that will happen soon. And,
wait. Ask this question, Charles. How often was Beth at the bar?
I can't say. I just choose a pleasure when she's there. But we want to thank the Associated, Jay Moore, all of our friends, you, Beth, John Colson. We're citronbaltimore.com, Charles Levine Caterers, which is sort of just combined here, is all part of it. I just also want to tell you, I agree with Ben. We were in reservations in the last few years. When somebody was making a reservation, we didn't know who they were. 8 people or more, we were taking a deposit. Yes, moving forward, it has to be that way. To answer Beth's last question, we're gonna have to see what the health department wants besides what we're looking at, making sure that things are right, not fraudulent PPE and things like that. And the other thing, unfortunately, is we can get started, get going, and then this can happen in a different kind of way and get throttled back. So we're gonna have to just work very smart all the time. So we're Citron Baltimore, our carryouts Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's online. You can still call us. And we really appreciate the community. And I very much respect the other restaurateurs that are here besides who's not here. Everybody's been terrific in the industry.
So the sushi's wonderful. We won't forget that, because we've heard that from 2 of you here. Ben, you got the last little comment.
Thank you very much for having me on. You can visit the marketplace website by going to www.lacucharamarket.com. We are accepting orders today for pickup tomorrow. Basically, you put your order in, and then the next day, come by between 3 and 5, give us a call. We bring it out to your car. So you don't need to worry about coming inside or any of that business. And then our normal website is lacucharabaltimore.com. Where you can see just some of the other things we're doing. That does have a link to the market. And if you want to just email us with general inquiries, you can email info@lacucharabaltimore.com.
Very good, Ben. Thank you. Beth? I think you've got some closing comments for us.
I do, comments and announcements. So first of all, Lara, Charles, Ben, thank you. Thank you really for taking the time to be here today. Thank you and your colleagues for what you're doing to keep Baltimore well fed during the pandemic. We certainly wish you all the best of luck as we weather this storm together, and hopefully bright futures in your businesses and your lives. So I will just say to our audience, join us on Thursday at 7 p.m. Our topic this week is going to be the impact on nursing homes. Quite a deep and interesting topic for sure. Here are a few other updates. This year's 32nd annual William and Irene Weinberg Family Baltimore Jewish Film Festival, that's a mouthful, is going virtual. The Gordon Center for Performing Arts invites you to enjoy films that examine Jewish heritage and culture, as well as guest speakers. It runs May 16th to June 10th. So hopefully you've gotten some notification about that. On May 19th at 7 p.m., we will be having an online gathering to acknowledge and honor the memories of loved ones who recently passed. Come together to comfort one another in ways that have not been possible during these unique times. You can learn more at jcs.org. And remember, continue to visit associated.org and jmoreliving.com for more information, stories, and resources. And stay well.
Thank you. Jonathan, take it away.
We just want to thank everyone for joining us, to our wonderful restaurateurs and to the community. Be sure to go out there and patronize the restaurant community, because they need our support as they're out there feeding us. And as Beth said, be sure to go to associated.org, jmoreliving.com, sign up for our weekly e-newsletters at jmoreliving.com. And we'll see you Thursday night at 7 o'clock, either here live on Zoom or catch us on Facebook or YouTube. Thanks a lot, everyone.